what would be certain things that you would change or you would correct in your own pursuit of Pastor Mitch?
I would think I would change me. One of the things that we need to remember, and I think it's very applicable in our time today, is involving other people in the relationship.
And not just friends, but also
But family.
and leaders.
I can't expect her to kind of fix everything. No, if I'm leading and heading this relationship, then I need to know who I am.
It is the man's role to take on leadership. And it's going to be hard for you to lead another person if you don't even know where you're headed yourself. This is Life at the Crossroads. How do you figure out which expectations to take on and which expectations to tune out?
No, I think communication will be a key to that, because everybody's going to have an opinion about your relationship.
Yeah.
But talking about those expectations and seeing which ones apply to you is it's both of you having to make that decision. Fine, there are expectations on me in a relationship, but they don't know what the relationship is like. So it's being honest with one another about what's expected of us. Yeah. And then say, well, do you think that's where we're at right now? Or is this something that maybe we need to work towards? And then say, you can bring it up to people you're accountable to. It could be a leader, family member, whatever the case may be. And just say, look, we hear you, and that might be something we're going to be working towards, but it may not be something I'm doing right now. But allow us to grow in that. Because this is the thing. I think sometimes expectations make you try to make the relationship grow beyond where it is right now. And then you're like, I can't handle it. Yeah. So if we just allow relationships to grow how they're supposed to, some may be faster than others, and that's okay. But not to put the pressure on people to have to say, okay, I have to go from point A to point K. Right? And then from K to Z. No, just allow a process and progression, because you have individuals that are growing in the knowledge of there's somebody else now with me in this. Yes. And maybe one person is ahead of the other. So there's kind of a wait to get that person there with you. You don't stop, but maybe the pace is a little bit slower for you. So I think communication is key, and that's something I've been telling a lot of couples lately, is what's expected. Yeah. Because there are a lot of unmet expectations. Right. And while I would love to think he can read my mind, he can't.
I can't even read mine.
Hanggang ngayon, Pastor, hindi mo pa rin alam kung
No, going back to expectation, it really depends. Your expectations are shaped by what you think is important.
What you value.
What you value.
What you value.
So kung value mo,
That's
kung
good.
ano yung like ng mga, what would people say? What would the public say? Then you adjust according to that. And that's
good.
not always healthy. Right. That's why it's a discussion. Parang sino ba yung importante sa atin? You have that ever, it's a circle of people, community, that gets smaller as they get close to you. Yeah. Much like, let's say, Jesus had 500 people that witnessed his resurrection, but he had 12, but within the 12, he had 3. And so these are the people that you bring in closer. In your most trying moments, he said, Peter, James, John, sama ka sa akin. Right. But at the end, he went further away on his own to talk to God. So there is this, but there you have to identify sino ba yung circle of friends mo that you will allow to speak to your life. And because if you try to meet your expectation and then your expectation, that person, that you'll have nothing. Right. True. Right. So
I guess it's whose opinion do you value? Yeah. Right. So that's one of the things. Whose voice do you want to be able to listen to?
Very good.
I mean, you can listen to somebody who has absolutely no relationship with you whatsoever, has no idea what you've been through, your background, what's going on in your relationship. And then you don't want to listen to the ones that are closest to you, that are going to correct you, who love you. then there's something wrong with that, right? But even in that relationship, you need to be able to be honest, even with your leaders, and say, I'm not quite there yet. Yeah. So as you walk with us through this, just continue to encourage us, continue to correct us, to get us to that place.
I love it. Very good, very good. I mean, you answered it in a way where you have to define your priorities through communication. Yeah. And I guess one of the goals of communication is understanding. Once you have that understanding, who are the most important people in your life, who are your inner circle, right? Who are the people that really matter to you, even if they correct you, because correction is a form of love.
Yes,
right?
it is.
And most of the time, the young ones do not really pursue leadership or mentorship because they don't want to be corrected, right? So I guess for me, that's really very clear. You can't please everybody. Certainly, you can't satisfy, and you're not supposed to. You can't satisfy people's expectations. But what's important, like what Pastor Mitch and Alvin are saying, is that here first, together, what's important to us and for us,
What do we value?
what do we value, who do we value, and then let's define our inner circle. Then, but defining that, we already know our priority. And then you move from one season to the next, wherein now, okay, you're not just dating, but you're moving to your next season, which is engagement, next season, which is marriage. So that involves a whole set of another people as well, or another group of people as well.
I also love what Pastor Mitch said just a while ago, because she talked about the other side of the equation. They were talking about their life as a couple, but she touched on the other side where she was talking about the people on the outside looking in. Talking about, we gotta recognize that couples, such as, people who probably are stepping into certain things for the first time, are in a process, like they're progressing. Praise God, that they're progressing. But what I picked up from that is that we also gotta give people room to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
Like we cannot expect perfection from them, as if like that we withhold the empowerment to them to make the right choices, because in their eyes, to make the right choices would mean that they failed. If it means like having to break up, or having to, like what you said earlier, take a step back, like for them, no, there's only one track mind. I gotta press on and press through for this relationship.
Right.
Just yes, 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 instead of fixing what ought to be fixed. And I say that because, where this is a young adults community, and there's gonna be young guys who are gonna be coming in. I am speaking to the young adults right now.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, there's gonna be younger guys coming in, and remember that you cannot treat them as youth any longer. When they step into a place of being a young adult, you gotta empower them with wisdom, empower them with trust, and understand that they will be bound to make mistakes, and that it's their choices, not yours.
Right.
So you have to remember that, because they cannot thrive in an atmosphere where they are robbed of the freedom of their own choices.
Correct.
So we can only add wisdom and remind them and guide them as much as we can. But at the end of the day, there's their own choices. So I love that. I think Pastor Mitch has
I was going to say that in line with that, Pastor Mond, is that, realize if you're trying to expect perfection in a relationship, then you're going to have to look at your own, because our relationships aren't perfect. I mean, you know that as a married couple, we have issues that we deal with, but we still have to talk about it. Yeah. And even now, after 16 years of marriage, there are still things that I'll expect of him, but if he doesn't meet it, it's because he didn't know it. And that's still having to have that discussion of expectation. It's like, so he can say, I didn't know. And then your reply could be, well, you should. I'm learning.
Praise the Lord.
Is that, that I can't expect him to be able to read my mind. I can't expect him to know what it is I would like him to do if I never voice out what that is. Right. And I think I pray that this generation isn't just about texting or messaging. You actually talk. Talking is so important. Maybe I'm not much of a talker. Well, you're gonna have to get out of your comfort zone to have a conversation. So, conversation is so important. I can't stress that enough, because that's where expectations will be revealed.
And sometimes, and you allow people the language of people are, in any conversation, any dialogue, a person is trying to figure out how to communicate the things that is going on in their heads. And it's not always the right word, the right language.
And it could become offensive.
It can be offensive. So you also give that leeway or that avenue where, okay, so we're developing this, our parameters. So allow me to say it the wrong way, probably, but at least it's out. Because if you always
good.
cut it off,
Wow.
like with the kids, if you're always
Wow.
saying no to this, and so their world is getting smaller to a point that they don't want to reveal anything that's going on here because it's just no. But if you allow them freedom to, like we were
Wow.
saying, to express it, even though it's wrong, because now when you see it's wrong, then you can come in to guide.
Wow.
As leaders, we're here to put make the boundaries clear, not to control. Because when you control, then you take away the ability of a person to be an individual.
That's good.
That's dangerous.
Now, maybe you're in a relationship like this that your partner has a hard time communicating. But let's just say when they do communicate, you find yourself offended because you're like, that's what you're saying. This is what you expect in the relationship. Maybe what has to happen now is you begin to ask questions around what you've just heard. Just like, do you mean this?
Very good.
Because sometimes we receive things a certain way because we have preconceived ideas of different backgrounds and all sorts of things. So being able to say, is that what you meant? And if the person says, no, that's not what I meant. So now you're helping that person be able to communicate a little bit better. So what does this mean now? So again, we can go through that whole process of being able to say, just allow me to speak it this way, and let's see how we can work this out together.
Good. What I'm seeing here is that we don't judge the other person just by the things that they say, also just by how they communicate. Although in an ideal world, we would have wanted that people actually know how to use certain tones, choose their words carefully. But I see a lot of grace in Pastor Alvin and Mitch right here. We're growing.
Because we're talking right now. We will apply this later on.
Okay, very good. Right?
I'm learning.
No, but really true because the thing is, sometimes we are so quick to judge another person because we want to get or we have a certain expectation of the things that we want to hear from that other person without actually clarifying if that other person actually meant what they're saying. And we don't give a about it, so just edit out there or put some X or put an emoji. I know you're the innocent one here, Pastor. But I just thought about, these things are important, not just when you're in the relationship already, but also in the courtship stage.
Yes.
Right? I mean, if you're the guy, you take the risk to communicate what's in your heart to that other person without sounding or promising the entire world like a politician.
Yeah.
Okay? But then, when, as a woman, you
Speaking
then...
of politics,
Iimbitahan kita ulit, Pastor. Huwag ka mag-alala. Yan ang susunod natin.
I was going to say, I'll vote for you.
Yeah. There's a problem in culturally, we use mediator or yung go-between.
Go-between, yeah.
Right.
Diba?
Exactly.
So, ipapasa mo sa iba. Sabihin mo to sa ganon. And perhaps that was more accepted. I don't know if it's still a practice these days. Maybe now the
Swipe right na ngayon
go-between
kasi pass.
is technology.
Yeah, that is the go-between.
Or more like a general statement that you make into the universe and hoping magets nung isa.
Correct.
Yung parinig, di ba? And that is a way of communicating as well, but it's not communicating the right way or clearly.
Correct. Yeah. So, like I remember, when Pastor Mond and I started out as well, right? We were actually in friendship stage at that time, and we made it very clear that we were gonna be friends because I didn't want to be in a relationship. But we enjoyed our friendship so much, we laughed so hard, diba? Yeah, parang ganyan. And one day, he sends
so
me...
hard.
He sends me a super large bouquet in my office. So when he came back from lunch, I saw a large bouquet in my office, and there was a card there with a note that kami lang yung nakakaintindi because we talk about things a lot and a lot of things. So when I read it, I was confused. Instead of being happy, I was confused, and I had to call him and go, wait, why did you send me flowers? Nanliligaw ka ba? I mean, because we're friends. And I think for me, I am grateful that I did that because I don't want to be put in a spot where I'm guessing where we are. Like we were talking about labels earlier, and my thing is, if you're just friends, why would you give your friend a large bouquet of flowers? I mean,
Hindi
you
ba
have...
wrong send yun?
Huh?
Hindi ba wrong send?
Kasi pastor.
Kasi mayaman ako.
Akala ko, Leigh, pakibigay nga to kay. Mali.
Pinapabigay pa rin.
Pinapabigay pala niya. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So when I called him,
that's good.
he stuttered a bit and he go, and then I said it. I said, are you courting me? We were friends. We were friends.
Cheers, makatingin o, nadjudge ako.
Kasi I guess for me, I already know what I want. And I told him early on, I don't want to go into another relationship where things are unclear. This is what I want. I just want to work. I just want to build on my career. If you want friendship, then that's it. But then he comes in and without laying a particular intention for moving to another phase in our relationship would give something like that which is significant. I don't want to just ignore that. And I want to talk about the meaning of this.
That's good.
And so for me, as a woman, I don't want to just wait and go, hindi, hintayin ko, mag-text kaya siya. Right?
Certain terms.
Correct.
Yeah.
And just, get into the car, go out again for lunch, go out again for dinner without actually talking about what just happened.
Right.
And so when I ask him, he go, yes, he said, can I do that? So I said, we need to talk. And so we had to sort it out. And so that I'm sharing because
That's so good.
coming in from what you guys are sharing about communication and the woman not being afraid to speak out. And say, I need to clarify, why are you always hanging out with me? Why are you always behind
Crush
me?
mo ba ako?
Why are you always following me? Why do you text me if I ate for lunch? I mean,
sige.
that's my question.
Na-bring up, na-bring up mo na kasi. Magandang question yan because I think this is so common nowadays, no? I mean, is it okay for a woman? Kasi it's a double-edged sword naman for
Baka
the
kasi
woman.
akala nag-a-assume din siya.
Yun nga eh,
Oo.
kaya nga double-edged
So,
siya. Sa atin, dun kasi sa example mo, it was so obvious. Like, this guy sends you a bouquet of flowers. That's not normal. Like, you don't do that to just a friend. Shout out sa mga nagpapadala ng flowers dyan. Just a friend daw. Toot!
or
Anyway.
sinusundo.
But you have people that say, no, I just wanted to send you flowers. And you're kind of like,
You have to be honest.
mixed
Why?
signals.
Ibenta mo para kumita ka.
So,
Talaga.
Why not?
So it's good to clarify because what we're saying here is that as a woman, you cannot allow yourself to be put in a place where you feel
Totoo
like
yun.
you can't just be you. Right? I mean, if somebody the problem is what may not necessarily be crossing the line for him may be crossing the line for you.
That's right.
And then what happens is, as a woman, you bring it up like the way she did with me, but there's a lot of guys who play safe today and simply say, but that's just being friends.
Yeah.
Which makes the woman now look like asumera. Like nag-a-assume siya. What can you say about that, like that predicament?
Which is a question to, earlier also to Pastor Mitch, right? It's also connected to the question
Right.
that we threw out
How you
at you,
preserve.
like how do you preserve? Kasi we talked about pursuit, Pero as a woman, it's also difficult Kasi you're on the waiting game. You're on the waiting end. And so there are certain boundaries na parang, can I cross this? Can I, what do I do? How do I preserve myself? I don't like this guy at all. Or medyo gusto ko tong guy na to. Do I give hints? I don't know. So maybe you can share, Pastor Mitch.
Umiinit na ba dun eh? Umiinit na dun.
May sariling talk dun eh.
Okay, I said this at Jesus Fest a couple of years ago. That's kind of become something that I say to a lot of young people, is that drop hints, don't drop your pants.
Yan!
Women,
Oh,
you
yan.
can drop
Paano kung hindi ka
hints,
nakapants?
drop your skirt.
Just being
Okay.
clear.
No, but you know why? Because women tend, and I'm sure men do this as well, but women tend to give themselves completely. When you enter into a relationship, it's all or nothing, almost. You have those that hesitate, and those that hesitate have been in relationships where they've gotten hurt. That's why they hold back.
Right.
But generally, when you enter into a relationship, you want to give everything. That's why you chose to be in one. So I would say you can drop hints. Now, sometimes the hint is you bopping the person on the head and being very direct and saying, okay, I guess I'm the wrong person to say this because I would ask,
direct,
do
right.
you have, what's your intention here?
Which I find nothing wrong, honestly.
And I've actually told people, this guy's courting me, blah, blah, blah. What do I do? Do you like him? No. Then tell him. Just say, I'm really sorry, but
I
I'm
don't
not.
like you yet. Anyway.
Well, you know.
The stage of liking.
No, because we actually married a couple recently that
I didn't
the
marry
guy.
you. I married you.
You officiated.
Officiate. Okay.
Excuse me.
Na-confuse ako. I married
No.
you.
So he officiated a wedding where the guy pursued
yeah.
for 8 years. And the woman was not interested in him at all.
But they got married.
They did.
Si Leigh kasi
Eventually.
yung ano eh. Yung tatay, si Leigh.
Stop. Study what that means. Go study Jacob and all
Yeah,
that.
that's wonderful.
Yung tanong mo, di ba? Parang so, ano nga ba yung tanong niya? About the guy naman. Di ba? Yung sending flowers. Di ba?
yeah.
Tapos playing it safe.
Yeah.
Right? Anyway. Hindi, wait.
Grow some.
No,
That's what I'm going to say.
I
Is
would-
grow some, guys.
I would say about that, why would guys do that? Kasi takot sila ma-disappoint. Takot silang ma-busted, mapahiya. Yun yung route na parang, sige, hindi ako magpapadala sa isang girl. Papadala ako sa 4 para isa lang talaga yung target ko. Para kung tinanong ako, hindi lang naman ikaw. Pero isa lang talaga yung target. That's kind of, come on, grow some.
Grow
right?
some. Exactly.
Right?
Grow some.
Ano lang?
Kahit nga, singular lang, pwede na eh.
Oo.
Grow
Pero you know, I think kasi ako pag kinakausap ko yun, like, talking to guys who are I get so
Irritated.
irritated, but focused on the guy kasi yung guy yung tinutulungan
That's
mo,
right,
di
of
ba?
course.
Parang ayusin mo yung sarili mo,
Yeah.
ayusin mo yung intention mo. Eh di kung mapahiya ka o kaya you feel bad, nilatag mo sarili mo kasi you're gonna go through the same process for the next if ever. And it won't change. So either kung they take it as a man. Well, I laid it out. I like you. You don't like me. All right. Then friends ba tayo o kaya alam mo 'yon?
I need distance.
You'll know how to move on from there. But kung medyo pahaging lang lahat, then you don't want a life like that.
Yeah, and as a woman, don't be afraid to say,
Confront.
to confront, I don't like you that way. Or if somebody's showing you or giving you attention and you actually have feelings for this person, you can fish.
Sample fishing, please. Sample fishing,
No,
please.
it's just, have deep conversations.
Yeah.
That's where you can begin to fish and see if you're headed in the same direction, you like the same things, and then begin to say, want to spend more time. You know what? There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, let's want to spend more time together. Let's talk a bit more. Get to know the person and see where that's going to go.
Yeah.
But
Because everything is clear, because everything is laid out, and your intention is really to communicate and talk.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Very
love
good.
what you did with Pastor Mond, that
Tama yan.
very clear, we're friends. But see, guys, we encourage friendships because friendships can grow to something more.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're not always going to be in love with your spouse. I'm just saying that
How about right now?
the feeling of love, but love is a decision you make, right? And so, but we have a friendship beyond just being husband and wife. We are friends. And that's yes, as you can tell, he makes me laugh a lot. That's one of the things I love about him. He makes me laugh.
She makes me cry.
It's
I want to
okay.
wake up challenged.
This is just an opportunity for us to test everything about what we're talking about here, to prove if everything's right.
Nilalantad na namin lahat.
Yes.
No, but friendship, friendship's really important
that
because
has to
at
be
the end of the day,
Foundational.
if you don't end up together romantically, you still have a friendship that's solid. And this can be somebody that you can count on later as well. Without the expectations of, because I show this, we're going to be together this way. No. But women, do not be afraid to ask those questions. Do are you treating me this way because I'm special to you?
Wow.
You know?
on.
And it's uncomfortable because in our culture, we don't do that.
That's true.
We shouldn't do that.
Ginagawa niyo out. Dami
But-
kasing mga bulong-bulungan nangyayari sa backstage.
But there's nothing wrong with, and if they go, oh my gosh, she's assuming or she's strong, then don't back down because
Yeah,
that is who
that's
you
right.
are. You are a strong woman. You know, you're not a person that's just going to be like, oh yeah, here, take me. No. You may have to work for me, but at least I know that there is work you're putting in. You know, I'm aware of that. And because I'm aware of that, I can really begin to look at it from a different perspective.
Right.
You know, I'm not just looking at it from the lens of just my friend. Oh, there's something a little bit more. And if I allow you to do that, then actually, I think that's better. I think there's a better term. I allow you to enter into the smaller circle where you can get to know me more intimately.
I have a question though. There seems to be a pandemic of men being afraid of strong women. Don't apologize for being strong, right? You have your
Good.
principle that is biblical and
So
all of
good.
these things. But sometimes we confuse principle from preferences and
So-
you begin to question, darating pa ba tong perfect
This
na?
perfect
Oo.
person. It's ideal.